Hello, how are you? My name is Sarah and I'm one of the Cocoa Campus librarians. Today we're going to learn about some advanced search strategies for your analysis paper topic of hip-hop music and its influences. These two slides that you're about to see give you some information about what might happen if today's class was a 50 or 75-minute session, and also what has been communicated between the librarian and the professor before today's class. Today's agenda then is going to focus on advanced research strategies using the library's catalog and its databases. Normally this class would start with a free write to get you thinking about what you've done so far. We would then do a pair share where you would work with another student. Then we would come together as a big group and brainstorm where we talk about what has worked for you so far in your research and what hasn't worked for you so far. These are some of the questions that I might ask and that we would answer and work on as we go back and forth in that brainstorming session. So where I will start today then is in creating a search. You've got your topic already given to you, but from that topic you have to create an open-ended, broad question, a big concepts question that you start with. You can see two that I've created here on the screen. The next step would be to identify the main concepts of your question and to come up with keywords from those concepts. You can see that from the two questions I created, I've come up with three concepts: hip-hop, who or what has been influenced, and where. And then I've also created some keywords that I think go along with those three concepts. And you can see that for the where, I focused on globally or in the United States, other countries in particular, or particular states in the U.S. For who or what has been influenced, I've come up with culture, religion, people, specific artists, which I know you have to pick towards the end of your research process. And for hip-hop, I've come up with some different terms as well. The final step in creating your search is to combine those keywords into various searches that you'll use inside the databases. So the next slide here shows a chart of search operators that you can use to help limit and broaden your searches in the databases, and allows you to create a smaller results list by forcing the database to look for articles that have both terms. Or is an operator that gives you a bigger search result set. It gives you everything that's got hip-hop or rap in it. Not gives you a smaller list, hip-hop, but not rap. The parentheses allow you to nest terms together, and the database will search those first before the others. So you can see here hip-hop, not rap, to be searched before teens. The truncation symbol, the asterisk, allows you to use a root word and look for all of its various endings. For example, libraire. And then the database would look for librarian, library, libraries, etc. The wildcard characters can be used for words that have internal letters that can be changed out. So for example, woman, women, theater with the RE or the ER. And then the quote marks can be used to create a phrase, and that forces the database to look just for that phrase, not for the individual words. So the next step, we're going to look at four different resources that you can do your searching in that the library has access to. So that first one, we're going to look at online and print encyclopedias. And I'm going to click over to the library website here. And you can see I typed music encyclopedia in here, and I'm going to click search. And that gave me a lot of results that came back, about 10,000 different results, or actually about 27,000 results. So that's too many to be very useful. But I realized I can limit by clicking available in the library. So when I do that, it brings that number down to 151. I kind of wanted to make that search smaller, so I realized I could go to the subject topic, and there's a hip-hop available here. I click on that, and now I bring back 4 encyclopedias that are available in the library. 2 of those are print. 2 of these are the online versions of those print. So you'd be able to look inside those, and you would find an introduction to the genre, to hip-hop, a timeline of hip-hop history, which could be very interesting, and a list of various artists that you could focus on for later. The important thing to know about encyclopedias is that they give you big, generalized, broad knowledge about your topic, and that gives you a background and some language to get started in the topic. Next, we're going to look at using print books and/or e-books. Books will give you generalized knowledge, maybe a little bit more specific than what you'd find in the encyclopedia, but not as specific as what you'd find in the databases down the road. So I'm going to click back over here for a minute to the library website, and I'm going to click on the advanced search bar here. And when I do that, I did a search for general books I chose the title instead of author. I put a phrase in. I asked for books in the last 5 years, and I chose books instead of journals or articles or anything else. And I got 15 results for the library. Some of these are here at the Cocoa campus, some are at other campuses, some are available, some are checked out. But these books would give you, again, some generalized background knowledge, maybe a little more specific than in your encyclopedias. The next thing I wanted to show you is to move away from the generalized, The next thing I wanted to show you was that not only could I search for books in the library catalog, but I could search for audio-visual materials, which I thought was interesting because hip-hop is so visual and auditory. And by doing this search in the advanced search box, I came up with 16 results, and most of these look like they're online clips that you could watch. Again, probably some generalized information, but again, maybe some more specific information to get you started. The next thing we're going to focus on is starting to look into databases. So from the library homepage, you can choose databases A to Z. And then we click that, and then we're going to choose Academic Search Complete, which is a really good broad general database, and it's also a full text one. And when we click on that, we then can start our search here. And I have done one already where I started out putting in music and hip-hop as just select a field. And I got a really big search result set of like 27,000 results. So I wanted to make that smaller. I first made music a subject term and then hip-hop a subject term, and ended up with this 1,300 result set, which is a little bit smaller. At this point, what you're going to want to do is start to look at that results list, look at your titles, look at where the articles are coming from. You're going to want to look at the subject lines to see if there are any new keywords you can use as you go through and search. You also can use the abstract icon over on the right-hand side, and that would allow you to read the abstract for each article. I decided after looking at this initial search that I wanted to focus in a little bit more, and I decided I was going to focus on gender for this next search. So I did the music and the hip-hop, and then women or female, using the wildcard and the truncation. And I got 61 results there. So again, you do the same thing. Look at the titles to see if there are any that are interesting. Look at the subject lines, the keywords that you can use. Notice where your articles are coming from. Maybe read an abstract if you're interested. I realized that I did search here for gender, but what about doing one focused on race? So I kept the music and the hip-hop. I put race in, but then I realized, oh wait, that's a root word for racism, racist, race. So I put the truncation symbol. But then I also realized that race can mean a physical, running race, and I don't want to read articles about that. So I used the not limiter and put in running. And that gave me 36 articles that I could, again, start to look at the titles and the subject lines. I realized that one of the key parts of this search was to think about the influence of hip-hop music. So I decided to do a search with music, hip-hop, and influence with the truncation symbol to get the plurals. I got 78 results there. I also realized that at some point I read an article or a keyword and it mentioned cultural, so I wanted to do that search. Music, hip-hop, influence with the truncation symbol, and culture with the truncation symbol to bring in cultures and cultural. And so then I get 77 results, some of which are the same, but some are different. And the point I want you to take away at this point in time is that this takes time. This searching takes time to go through different keywords, different combinations of keywords, maybe finding a new keyword and expanding out into that one. So you need to make sure and give yourself time to do all of these searches, to look at the results, and to start to keep track of what interests you within the big topic of hip-hop and influence and its influence. So that's the first point to take away, is you need to give yourself time. The second is that you need to know that your initial research question that you came up with is probably going to change as you go through these searches, and that that's okay. That's expected to have that happen, and it's all right to have it happen, to have the question change, because you're learning more about the big topic, and you're going to start to hone in on specific themes or pathways that interest you and that you'll be able to write about in your paper. So at some point, though, you're going to want to click into a result and see what's going on inside the result. And here's the one I chose to do that with. The World is Yours, the Globalization of Hip-Hop Language. You can see that I'll get the citation information here that tells me where it was published and when. I get some subject words to think about using as different search terms. I can read the abstract here if I haven't already, and the abstracts are really important because they're a short summary of the paper instead of reading a 20-page long paper. This database also gives you tools on the side that you can use to keep track of the articles you like. The first one to use is your email function. When you click on that, it allows you to input your email, so then the database sends you that information and you won't lose an article that you like the look of. You also can use the cite function here, and that allows you to pick the citation style your professor wants you to use and copy and paste that citation into your research log or your paper, and you'll need to do this for your bibliography, for your analysis paper. When we come back out to the results list, I did want to show you that you can limit from the big results list. If you get a results list of 10,000 results and you're concerned about how many, you can choose to click on academic journals or the scholarly peer-reviewed journals if you know you're going to need to use those in your paper. You also can choose to use the slider bar to get fewer articles in a more tight time frame. If you just wanted brand new articles, you could slide the bar over and indicate that. You also can use the subject thesaurus term here, and if you click on that, you'll see a show more button, and when you go into that area, you'll see that the database has created subsets of articles from the keywords that you've used in the search. And then you can just choose a few of those areas, as many as you like, and see a more targeted group of articles about the pathway or the theme that you're starting to go down. I did also want to point out to you that the library purchases and has access to subject databases. I'm going to click out into the catalog here, and where you, from the home page, you can click on this databases by subject link. And then you can see different databases that are organized into discipline areas, business, education, history, sciences is further down. And when I clicked into this list, I found this grouping called news and current events. And I thought that might be interesting in terms of finding out current information or controversial information about our hip hop topic. And so when I clicked into that issues and controversies database and I did a search for hip hop music, I got 30 results that talk about the big topic from that area of focus of current events and controversial possibilities within that topic. So I wanted you to know about that. I also wanted to talk about search engines, because those are really important to find information, but it's a different kind of information than what you'll find in databases. So databases give you curated information that the library has paid for so you can have access to it. But for example, it's harder to find information about professional organizations and their websites inside databases. So one way to find that information about organizations is to search the web using Google, but limiting your search by putting into your search phrase the term .org. I also could choose to look for information about hip hop and its influences in educational institutions. That would be a .edu search, or in government agencies. That would be a .gov search. So what I input into Google here is hip hop culture and then .org. I got about 3,400 results, but you could scroll through the first couple of pages and see if any of these results give you information about an organization involved in hip-hop and its culture and its influences. And this would give you a different kind of information to use in your analysis paper. For example, here, teaching and learning with hip-hop culture for the, this is a national organization involved in education of young children. So if you were interested in hip-hop and how that culture has influenced education in young children, that would be a great site to click into. This one down here, the Paley Center for Media, they talk about the emergence of hip-hop from the 1970s and what that history was and how hip-hop emerged from it. So that, again, might give you some interesting information to use in your analysis paper. So at this point in time, we would have some work time if we were in class together for 50 minutes or 75 minutes. I would walk around and let you ask me questions, and I would check in with you as you do your own personal searches for your topics and the themes that you're starting to become interested in within the big topic of hip-hop music. We also next would focus on next steps. This would be the place where I would have you write down 2 to 4 next step activities that you would do to keep your research going as you move through this analysis paper project. And that would be paper that you would take home with you. I did want to show you that on the library website, in the lower right hand corner on the page is where you can find more help from research librarians if you need that as you're doing your research. And so you would be able to chat with a librarian during these hours, whether you're in the library or in your dorm room. You'd be able to send text messages during the time frames. You'd be able to send emails to the librarians to ask questions or to ask for consultations. You also can always stop by the reference desk in the library and ask for help there. And there is a phone number on the main website for you to call the department as well. At this point, we would also do exit cards where I would ask you to tell me what have you learned today that's new to you or helped your understanding. We also want to know what don't you still understand at this point, because those are helpful questions for your professor to know. And finally, I want to say thank you so much for your attention and your listening today, your participation. I hope that you found some new strategies that you can try in your own searches. And I hope you know that you can always come to the library for help and for resources. And again, thank you very much and have a good day.